thousands of years, or whatever, I'm waffling. It's one of my favourite films of all time, and how true it is about the man, the real man, Jordan Belfort. Well, we're going to find that out today. I've got a number of sources and websites and stuff which we're going to go through, basically look at his life. We're going to look at the crimes he committed and everything, and then we're going to finish the video with 15 facts about him that maybe weren't covered in the stuff about his life that we'll be talking about before that. So I reckon that was wobbly rambly enough. Let's get into the life of Jordan Belfort. So Jordan Belfort, aka the Wolf of Wall Street, is an entrepreneur who was found guilty of manipulating the stock market. He focused on penny stocks using the pump and dump technique. His company, Stratton Oakmont, would buy shares in a company and then rave about a specific stock to investors, encouraging them to put money in. When the share price rose, Oakmont would sell its stake for a profit, sometimes 4 to 5 times the price, and their salesmen would stop pushing the stock. The price would plummet and investors would often lose their money. Belfort served 22 months in prison for his crimes and has been publicly criticised for stealing the money of innocent investors and individuals. Penny stocks were targeted as they would have market caps of just a few million, making the share price easier to manipulate. Belfort wrote 2 memoirs about his endeavours whilst imprisoned. His first, The Wolf of Wall Street, would go on to gross $400 million at the box office. The movie was directed by Martin Scorsese, and the lead role was given to Leonardo DiCaprio. Belfort's second memoir, The Way of the Wolf, did not sell so well. After he was released from prison, Belfort started work as a motivational speaker and began training sales teams. One of the key areas he focuses on is the difference between greed and ambition. So that gives us a brief summary and introduction into who exactly Jordan Belfort is. But let's now go backwards into the early life of Jordan Belfort. So, Jordan Belfort was born in 1962 and brought up in Queens, New York City. He was interested in business from an early age. In his book, he mentions working with his friend at an early age to sell Italian desserts. They sold them at the beach in styrofoam cones as they were low cost and prevented the desserts from melting in the summer months. This venture earned Belfort and his friend $20,000. During high school, Belfort wanted to become a dentist, so applied to university to study biology. His time at university did not last long, however. Soon after Dean told him the money-making days of dentistry are over, he left. So, after leaving the university, Belfort started work as a door-to-door salesman in Long Island. He was exceptional at selling, so his business grew rapidly. He quickly built a sales team to expand operations. The team was selling seafood and meat, but when others saw his success, competition increased. Belfort's business collapsed when he was 25 and he went bankrupt. After this failure, he wanted to go after the stock market. A family friend helped him learn the basics, and in the 1980s, Belfort launched a new financial service firm called Stratton Oakmont. The company was an over-the-counter stock brokerage. The company made a good profit for several years and worked very well. There are dozens of companies, and Stratton Oakmont was linked to the IPOs of these companies. During this time, there were suspicions that things were going a little too well. The company was thriving, and Belfort started living a high life. He spent a lot of money on sports cars, mansions, and other expensive things. Additionally, Belfort was addicted to drugs, his favourite being Quaaludes, and that gets referenced a fair bit in the film. Due to his addiction, Belfort also led to the breakup of his second marriage. This next section is titled Denise Lombardo. So, Denise Lombardo met Belfort when they were in school together. The pair hit it off and would later marry in 1985. Lombardo took a stable career in comparison to Belfort. The marriage did not last long, however, and just 6 years later Belfort would marry again. In the film The Wolf of Wall Street, she was played by Kristen Milioti, a role which suited her personality well. She has tried to maintain a private life since Belfort's, but had been the subject of scrutiny since the release of the box office hit. Moving on to Nadine Garrardi. Jordan Belfort met Nadine Garrardi at a party hosted at his mansion. He was still married to his wife Denise at the time of their meeting. Nadine was introduced to Belfort by her boyfriend Alan Wilzig. Garrardi and Belfort would leave their partners shortly after and start dating. The pair married in 1991 and they had 2 children together, Carter and Chandler. Nadine was a former British model but has since stopped her profession. So, now we move on to a bit more of a detailed look at the actual crimes that Jordan Belfort committed. So, Stratton Oakmont soon adapted the usage of the classic yet illegal pump and dump trading scheme, where brokers inflate stock prices through false and misleading positive statements and sell the cheaply purchased stock at a higher price. I believe they call them the pink sheets or the pink slips in the film. Word of the easy money-making scheme spread, which enticed young wannabe stockbrokers to apply for jobs at Stratton. The firm's motto was "Don't hang up until the client buys or dies." That's nice. These young Strattonites began making money and soon created a cult-like culture filled with drugs, prostitutes, and gambling, which Belfort was a huge part of course. Stratton Oakmont had huge success through the 90s, enabling Jordan Belfort to finance the founding of 2 other brokerage firms, Monroe Parker Securities and Biltmore Securities. Founding these firms further increased his ability to control stock prices and earn huge profits. Stratton Oakmont was responsible for the initial public offering, or an IPO, of 35 companies, including Steve Madden's shoes. Steve Madden. It was reported that Steve Madden's shoes earned Belfort $23 million in less than 3 minutes. By the age of 34, Belfort had earned a fortune amounting to hundreds of millions of dollars. This wealth amplified his partying, globe-trotting lifestyle, and he developed an addiction to cocaine and quaaludes. His drug-infused way of life contributed to the sinking of his yacht in the Med and crashing his helicopter, as we've already mentioned. Despite his drug use, the firm continued to grow, and Belfort decided that it was in his best interest to hide his illegal profits from the government by opening a Swiss bank account. Belfort's friends and family members would strap money to their backs in order to smuggle money from the US into Switzerland. The SEC became suspicious of the firm and investigated their trading practices. In 1994, after a lengthy investigation, Stratton Oakmont paid $2.5 million in the civil securities fraud case the SEC brought against them. The settlement also banned Belfort from running a firm, and as a result, he sold his share of Stratton. Belfort soon became aware that not only was the SEC investigating him, but the FBI was also investigating him under suspicion of money laundering. Belfort then realised that many people from his inner circle were working against him and giving information to the FBI. This chain of events further increased his drug use. Police were called to his house after he reported drove the car through the garage with his children inside the vehicle. Belfort was arrested, spent a few weeks in rehab, and returned home. However, a few months later, the FBI arrested him for money laundering and securities fraud. In total, Stratton Oakmont bilked more than 1,500 individual investors out of $200 million. Belfort was eventually sentenced to 4 years in prison and ordered to pay a fine of $110 million. He ultimately chose to cooperate with authorities and inform on his colleagues. As a result, the prison term was reduced to just under 2 years. And during his time in prison, Belfort began writing his memoir, The Wolf of Wall Street. Belfort was released from prison in 2006, and The Wolf of Wall Street was released just 2 years later. Belfort now lives in Los Angeles, California, where he works as a motivational speaker and owns his own sales training company, focusing on teaching people business strategies legally. So that sort of concludes the sort of crazy story of Jordan Belfort. He has come out and said that, since the film was released, he gets asked all the time, is it true, is any of it fabricated? But he says, to be honest, the film actually plays down a lot of the stuff he got up to. Often the stuff he got up to in real life was far, far worse and wouldn't be suitable for the big screen. So we're going to finish this video with 15 wild facts you didn't know about The Wolf of Wall Street. So let's scroll down. Fact number 1. Belfort once generated a $700,000 hotel bill. According to his memoir, he ran up the giant bill in Italy after being rescued when his yacht went down. In his own words, it wasn't as bad as it seemed, though, because the bill included a $300,000 gold bangle studded with rubies and emerald. As you do. One of his junior agreed to have her hair shaved off on the trading floor in return for $10,000. I believe that, that's definitely in the film, isn't it? It was to help her pay off the debt for her boob job. So there you go. Jordan Belfort confessed to making love to his wife on $3 million in $10,000 stacks of notes. Wait, what? Wait, do they exist, like $10,000 banknotes? That's outrageous. Jordan Belfort once landed his helicopter on his back lawn, flying with just one eye open because he was so stoned he had double vision. That was, again, also portrayed very well in the film. So as you can see, all the stuff that happened in the film happened in real life. Jordan Belfort sank his 167-foot motor yacht, complete with seaplane and helicopter, after overruling the captain and taking it into a Mediterranean storm. Jordan Belfort used his wife's sweet old aunt as a mule, helping him smuggle money out of the United States. He used his first Wall Street million to buy a white Ferrari because Don Johnson had one. Fact number 9. He woke up his secretary at 4 a.m. because he was in London and ran out of drugs. An emergency supply was immediately sent out on a Concorde jet. That is outrageous. He kicked his wife down a set of stairs in front of their young daughter and then drove his car through the garage door with the little girl unbuckled in the front seat when she tried to stop him driving off. I read that because I thought we'd already read it, but I didn't know that last detail. That's terrible. In the past, Jordan Belfort has claimed he has injected ingested enough drugs to sedate Guatemala. There you go. He once woke up from a drug-filled bender with the police at his door. They arrested him for causing 7 different traffic accidents that he had no recollection of. That's my favourite scene in the whole movie, where they take those like really old Quaaludes and he like crawls to his car, and like his memory of it is that he drove home like perfectly, and then it cuts back to like what actually happened, and he's just like plowing through everything. I can't believe like the fact DiCaprio didn't get an Oscar for that performance is one of the biggest robberies like ever. He was absolutely unbelievable, and I'll put the clip on screen now, but there was a clip, and it's been doing the rounds on like TikTok and stuff recently, of like how DiCaprio is just like so in the zone, and then he just like snaps into character like instantly. Like he is just one of the greatest actors ever, in my opinion. Facing up to 3 decades in prison for securities fraud, he snitched, becoming a government witness supplying information against his co-workers. And finally, perhaps the reason Belmont still seems to have such fond memories of the days he was flying high and mighty with other people's money is that he only had to serve 22 months in jail and was ordered to pay back $110 million. And that's the end of those facts. I think I've read that like he is still worth a lot of money. Like his net worth is still relatively crazy, but you know, I guess he did his time and stuff. Is the punishment relative to the crimes? Probably not. He probably deserved a little bit more, to say the least, but hey, people shouldn't have been suckered in and given up their money, but that's probably a silly view anyways. But there we have it. That is the life of Jordan Belfort. If you haven't seen The Wolf of Wall Street, definitely go and give it a watch, as long as you're 18, because it is outrageous. But it's a brilliantly done film, and you should definitely go and watch it. But I hope you did enjoy that video. Please feel free to leave your comments and suggestions down below for other people you'd like to see us. I was going to say other people to see us dive into. That's really dodgy, isn't it? What a horrible way of putting it. Other people's lives you'd like to see exploited, I mean covered on the channel. And yeah, I'll be sure to add them to the document, and we'll get round to doing them. So I really hope you did enjoy this video